Off for 90 minutes, and now it's time to break down what we all just witnessed. And of course, we want to hear from you tonight. We are asking, who do you think won the BC Leaders debate? On Twitter, you can use the hashtag BCPoly to respond. You can also comment on Facebook, where we're streaming live, or YouTube. Let us know, and we will be airing your responses on the bottom of your screen throughout the next 30 minutes. Let's bring in the BC Poly Live team from the Vancouver Sun, legislative reporter and columnist Rob Shaw, and from the Oh Boy production studio in downtown Vancouver, from the Canadian Press, reporter Amy Smart. Guys, there was a lot crammed into the last 90 minutes. Let's get your initial thoughts to start. Rob, we'll start with you. What did you think?
Well, I think it was the beginning of Dr. Premier, which we have not heard Andrew Wilkinson talk about himself as both a doctor and a lawyer as much in the entire campaign as we did in these 90 minutes. So it was very clear that he sees a benefit in reminding people, no matter the topic, he's a doctor. We'll see if that works for him. I thought that John Horgan, in general, handled most of the questions okay. He made a couple tactical errors trying to attack the Greens, which did not work out for him very well, because I think the big winner probably was Sonia Furstenau, who spoke from the heart on a couple of very interesting questions involving race and privilege. Now, she may win the battle in tonight's debate. Does she win the war in the BC election? What does that mean for the Greens? We'll have to wait and see on that.
We'll talk about Furstenau's performance a bit more in a moment. But Amy, same question to you, your initial reaction.
Yeah, I'll just take a step back. I thought it was a really well-run debate. I was happy with the moderator. She did a great job of keeping people on track and had solid questions, and made me happy to be Canadian. And yeah, I think it gave people who might not be paying attention to the day-to-day campaigns a pretty good overview of where everyone stands on the issues. But what we're really looking for in these kind of scenarios is the human element. And to go back to what Rob said, I agree. I think Sonia Furstenau is the one who did that best.
You know, you're right. The debate was civil. It was respectful. We didn't have a lot of leaders talking over one another. It makes you wonder if, in the aftermath of what we saw down south, the consortium got together and said, "Look, we have to format this differently." I do think you're right. Chachi Curl gets a lot of credit. She was a terrific moderator, and that's not an easy position to have. But Rob, in terms of knockout punches, if you want to call it that, or those big oh wow moments, were there any in your opinion?
No, I didn't see one. And, you know, we haven't had a knockout moment in a BC political debate since 1991 with Gordon Wilson. They tend to just kind of be more of an opportunity for a candidate to embarrass themselves slightly. And I don't think any of the embarrassment questions, especially to Andrew Wilkinson on the issue of why he didn't speak up on the Jane Thornthwaite, Bo and Ma sexist video, he handled that as well as he did this morning. He didn't get tripped up on that. John Horgan didn't get tripped up on some very aggressive questioning by Andrew Wilkinson on a few of the subjects, housing and some other issues. And Furstenau took her opportunities to really swipe Horgan hard as a liar who does not deserve a majority government. And she scored all the points she needed to score there. So no knockouts, but they stayed in their boxes.
You know, and I'm curious, Amy, do you think that it was the format that is the reason that we didn't have that big moment or that knockout? Because in years past in debates, and correct me if I'm wrong to both of you, but all three leaders had the opportunity to speak at the same time, and that's when you get those moments where they're talking over one another. That didn't happen. Chachi didn't let that happen. The format didn't allow for that. So do you think that was part of the reason why we didn't have that big takeaway moment, Amy?
I mean, I think that was definitely an element. We did have those, you know, I think 2-minute moments when they were allowed to go back and forth, and they just kind of chose not to speak over each other too much. And in the moments that they did, Chachi kind of stepped in and held them to account. I don't know, maybe it could be like a cultural thing between Canada and the United States. We're not seeing the same kind of bad behavior. But I can't say if it was the format or not, but I'm just happy that it was pretty civil.
We talked about at 6 o'clock tonight in the pre-debate show the fact that one of the issues of this debate could be the fact that should we even have this debate? You know, we heard about that in the first 2 weeks, this discussion over whether this is the right time for a snap election. Sonia Furstenau hammered that point down early on in this debate. I think we have a clip for you. This is the leader of the Greens, Sonia Furstenau, talking to John Horgan about whether we should even be in an election right now.
I think what British Columbians need to understand is that you're willing to break your word, you're willing to break agreements, and you're willing to break legislation that you yourself passed in the legislature in order to put the interests of your party, in order to seek that power and that majority that you so want for obedience in the legislature.
It's about British Columbians. They deserve to have that support. That's time, Mr. Horgan. We're moving on.
Rob, do you think voters are buying that this election is about British Columbians and them getting a say?
I think voters are buying the idea that maybe John Horgan still gets their vote even though this election makes no sense, and that's clearly what they're counting on. I thought Sonia Furstenau brought that issue up again and again in different questions that weren't related to it. It was very effective. But the time that Horgan tried to push back on her, he tried to come back with a question to her about why didn't she support one of these hydro bills, which he had earlier cited as a reason for the election, blew up in his face because it wasn't the Greens who opposed the hydro bill as much as it was First Nations that opposed the hydro bill. And Horgan tried to, I'll put it generously, skirt the truth on that issue, and Furstenau yanked him back so hard. And I thought that that was a pretty telling moment, that the NDP was a lot more muted on their Green criticism than they were in week one, and I think that was a deliberate move on their part.
Not even muted. I think probably 4 or 5 times. In the first half of the debate, Horgan actually brought up how well the NDP and the Greens have been working together, which, Amy, I don't know if that was a little jarring or weird for you, but I thought, you know, he is getting slammed by the other two parties for calling this election, for not working well, and here he is saying, oh, well, we've done a lot with the Greens in the last 3.5 years.
I think, yeah, I definitely noticed that too. I think it sort of came off to me as some of those questions were environmental questions, and it was almost like he was kind of stepping on the Green brand of being the really strong environmental advocates. He talked about Clean BC being this thing the NDP and the Greens worked on together and brought forward as the, you know, this landmark act in North America. And so I think that was a little bit strategic. In some ways, I think sometimes it can come off badly when, you know, a big party like the NDP punches down too much on a smaller party. And during a pandemic, I think people do want to see cooperation. I think Andrew Wilkinson kind of tried to jump on that too by criticizing Horgan for dividing people. He kept saying us versus them. So I think that was all those things were kind of going on.
We are asking you tonight at home who you thought won this debate. Your comments are coming in, and right now, just judging by some of them that are coming up on your screen, it looks like the majority of people say Sonia Furstenau was the winner tonight. Are you surprised by that? I
think she had some authenticity. She spoke at a moment on very difficult questions, especially on race, and captured the camera. She spoke to it. Everything slowed down, and she was authentic, and you cannot fake that in a debate like this.
You know, that question on white privilege, and I want to just make sure I've got the question right. It was, how have you personally reckoned with your own privilege as a white political leader? I don't know about you two, but when Sonia Furstenau answered that question, it almost seemed to me like the debate just slowed down for a minute. And I don't know if it was her delivery, the way she spoke, it was a little bit slower. Maybe it was the substance of what she was saying. She talked about being a mother who has to tell a child, look, if you're confronted by a police officer, just put your hands up. That, to me, may have been the strongest moment of the night. Amy, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Rob.
Yeah, I absolutely think it was the strongest moment. It was, you know, let's acknowledge, like, right now that the three of us are white journalists talking about white privilege. I think Horgan and Wilkinson both kind of botched the answers. They were asked about how they reckoned with white privilege in their own life, and they basically denied that privilege exists. They said, you know, we're all equal. I see no color. I treat everyone equally. We've kind of evolved beyond that to have to recognize that, you know, some people have steps up in life and some people don't, and race is part of that. I thought Furstenau's answer was really, it felt genuine. It felt like she'd reflected on it. She acknowledged that she doesn't know everything. She, you know, said this is why we need more diversity in positions of power. And I think she kind of like, it touched on a kind of emotion that she brought early in the campaign when she came out.
It was a human response. I mean, it was.
Yeah, it was a very human response.
And Rob, same question to you.
Well, I think, unfortunately, John Horgan and Andrew Wilkinson tried to use that question to attack each other, and it didn't come across very well. They pivoted directly from race into Horgan made a reference to LGBTQ, kind of, isn't it rich that Andrew Wilkinson can talk about that, which I don't think went over that well. And Wilkinson tried to talk about being a doctor again and delivering babies in First Nations communities, which was slightly off of the point as well, including a weird reference that there might be a child named after him somewhere in the province because he delivered the child,
Andy.
which I did.
Was it Andy?
Andy, I guess. Andy Jr., AJ.
You know what's funny about that is this morning when the Liberals were delivering their platform, that was one of the first moments for me that I heard Mr. Wilkinson talk about being a doctor. And it makes you wonder if after that press conference, someone said to him in his inner circle, look, that works, lean into that you're a doctor, that will resonate, because the number of times he referenced being a doctor and years of legal expertise and schooling, I mean, there was a lot of sort of personal applauding.
Well, I mean, it's a pandemic. You would think being a doctor in a pandemic election would be the most valuable thing you could possibly have, and yet it has not been an asset for Mr. Wilkinson so far.
Also interesting that the doctor in the province, Dr. Bonnie Henry, her name, I think, was only mentioned at the end during John Horgan's wrap-up. We have to take our first break tonight. We will take that break. When we come back, more reaction to what you just watched here on CHEK, the first leaders debate, the only televised leaders debate. Keep on responding online. We want to know who won this debate. When we come back, we will continue our discussion, and a bit later, Jack Knox from the Times Colonist with his take, You Don't Know Jack. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a moment.
I vote in advance.
I vote.
I vote.
Be sure to vote in the provincial general election. You can vote safely, either in advance or on Election Day, Saturday, October 24th.
I vote.
I vote.
I vote.
We vote.
At the New Balance store, we go above expectations and beyond shoes. We're here to keep your feet happy and healthy. Our fitness experts know exactly how to match your wellness goals and foot concerns to our wide selection of sizes and widths, so you can be sure that everything fits right and feels like it was made just for you. See our wide range of styles, innovative products, and the latest gear.
We guarantee you a perfect fit.
New Balance, Victoria and Nanaimo. Experience the difference of a custom fit for yourself.
We needed some support with my mother-in-law. She gets the regular tests done, and the doctor couldn't figure out why she wasn't doing so well. And we knew why. She wasn't taking her blister pack pills properly. Andrea is going to my mother-in-law's home every single morning to hand my mother-in-law her pills and watch her take them properly.
Heart at Home, enabling patients to live healthier lives at home for longer. Available from Heart Pharmacies.
Some like it hot, some like it cool. We bridge both divides at Bridgman Plumbing. If you want to start saving on your energy costs, we can make it affordable with the Bridgman lease-to-own solution.
Gas heat systems for $0 down and as low as $35 a month. Or keep it cool with air conditioning. $0 down and as little as $50 a month.
Include available rebates, and it really reduces costs. Bridge the divide and keep everyone happy with the experts at Bridgman Plumbing.
Welcome back to BC Poly Live. Rob Shaw, Amy Smart in Vancouver tonight as we continue to react to this first televised leaders debate, the only televised leaders debate. Housing was a topic tonight. There were a lot of topics. They covered a lot. Were you surprised by how much they covered tonight?
I think they had a very good selection of pretty much every topic there was, yeah.
Yeah. And the pandemic recovery, they started with that, but you know, as the night went on, COVID-19, I thought, kind of fell to the back burner. Do you think that maybe it didn't get as much attention as it deserved?
I think they would all the politicians are very hesitant about politicizing COVID-19. Yeah. The closest the NDP have said basically that Andrew Wilkinson's promises would lead to cutbacks, potentially to health care in a pandemic. And even that's a bit of a shaky statement to make because there's no evidence that would actually happen. So I think they steered clear of it preferred to fight on the other issues.
The cost of housing came up early, and Liberal leader Andrew Wilkinson attempted to hammer John Horgan and the NDP over the cost of living in this province. Have a listen to this back and forth with Andrew Wilkinson and John Horgan.
Well, I think you know the rents in Metro Vancouver are up $2,000 per year since your government took office.
That's not true.
Your housing plan is a complete fiasco because the cost of housing is the highest it's ever been, while incomes are actually going down. Rental situations are still difficult because the rent vacancy rate is still the same as it was when you took office. We've got a big problem here, Mr. Horgan, because your housing policy has produced no results whatsoever.
Again,
and we say it's time to increase the supply of housing.
You got to get out of your neighborhood.
You got to
get out of your neighborhood and talk to people, my friend.
You know, the end of that back and forth, Amy, I thought was interesting. There were a few times tonight where John Horgan reverted back to sort of John Horgan lingo, where he dropped words like, man, you got to get out of your neighborhood, my friend, you know, that comfortable guy that we talked about earlier about the guy you want to go for a beer with. But Andrew Wilkinson, you guys both said that he was the person that needed to come across as this person you wanted to hang out with. Did that work for you, Amy? Did you want to hang out with the leader of the Liberals after tonight?
Yeah, I don't think he quite got there. I mean, of course, I'd like to get to know him better, so I'd go for a drink with him. But I don't know that he sold it to voters broadly. Yeah, like you mentioned, John Horgan definitely leaned a little bit on the mans. I think he's done that switch from angry John to trying to be the dad, and he's practiced at that now. But yeah, I'm not sure he quite got there. He definitely seemed, especially off the top, very uncomfortable. He seemed nervous. I cringed a little bit for Wilkinson. He became more comfortable over the night, though.
You wanted to jump in there, Rob.
I don't think he can get there. I think we would have seen evidence of that. And maybe that's just who he is, and he's going to have to acknowledge that to people. You know, we used to have a phrase in the social credit days of a 60-second so-cred. You hated W.A.C. Bennett, but for 60 seconds you held your nose and you voted so-cred in the ballot box. And it's quite possible that Gordon Campbell had a little bit of that too. Maybe that's Andrew Wilkinson. He doesn't play guitar, and he's not woke or lit like John Horgan, and he doesn't have Star Trek jokes. Maybe he'll still have people who, you know, kind of vote for him. But he did not come out of there.
You're right. We saw that with.
Go ahead, Amy.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say we saw that a bit with Stephen Harper too, and he held his seat. People voted for him. He didn't have the charisma of some other people, but sometimes that doesn't matter.
They're very similar that way, I think, Harper and. But you know, in a crisis, that sort of steady person is usually the rock, right? The one who can handle the economy best. And the problem Wilkinson has is John Horgan looks like that guy. He looks like he's the steady rock who can handle the economy, and Wilkinson has nowhere to go.
And they didn't get him off his game tonight. I mean, you both said earlier that if the Liberals or Greens wanted to win tonight, and again, a lot of people watching say that Sonia Furstenau did win, but the key was to get John Horgan fired up and rattled, almost angry, because we've seen that, and the party's worked so hard to contain that. I thought he was level-headed and relaxed for the most part. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, the format, as Amy pointed out earlier, the format didn't allow for that, and in some ways, thank God, because three people yelling at each other is not what any of us want to see. So in that way, they didn't have the ability to tick him off.
But that's an interesting point you raise. I mean, look at how many people watched that debate in the U.S. between Trump and Biden. You say people don't want to hear leaders talking over one another, but there's some people that want to see the fireworks. You know, we didn't have those moments tonight where, you know, everyone was butting heads. And again, Shachi, I think, deserves a lot of the credit for that. But do you think this format worked to, I guess, the voters' benefit, Amy?
I think it did. Yeah. I think, you know, people actually do need to hear where people stand on the issues. So we didn't get as much entertainment in terms of, you know, people taking hot shots at each other. I don't know. I think, you know, it's an election. Obviously, entertainment keeps people watching, which is nice, but I think there's more important things.
It's like everyone says they want to watch a documentary, and then we're all tuning into The Bachelorette at 8 o'clock, right? I mean, it's just, sometimes you like trashy television.
You know,
I know you are.
Well, hold on a second. Of all the shows, you have to mention that one, which I think premieres tonight right now.
Well, maybe I have it PVR'd. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we have to wrap. Very quick, Amy, who won tonight?
I think Sonia Furstenau made the most gains for her party.
Okay. Rob?
Yeah, I think she made the most gains, but ultimately Horgan won and is continuing to win this election.
In terms of seats, do you think this will have any effect?
The polls have shown that none of this is having any effect,
right.
And the Liberals are in for a world of hurt.
Amy, thank you for being here, and Rob, thank you for being here. We are going to have both of them back a week tonight at 8 o'clock, which will be our last episode of BC Poly Live. Of course, the vote is on the 24th, so we'll set the stage for the big vote. When we come back, a segment we are calling You Don't Know Jack with Jack Knox, his commentary when we return.
Tens of thousands of BC Hydro customers were left without power thanks to a significant storm sweeping across Vancouver Island today. We'll have more on that and the damage and when things will clear at 10.
Ugh. Someone just got her period. What size you need?
Wait, there's more than one size?
Yes. Only Tampax has 5 sizes. If it hurts to remove, go down. If it leaks, go up. What's your combo?
On Vancouver Island, it's all good when it's Island good. As Islanders, we know what we have here is special, and we see it every time we shop. Make the choice to choose Island Good. Selecting local leads to increased production and greater sustainability, plus the dollars stay on Vancouver Island. Supporting island retailers, growers, producers, processors, and grocers. It's a win for everyone. It's all good when it's Island Good.
How does a baby born 3 months prematurely survive? Often, it's with the help of TB vets. When baby Verk was born weeks before his lungs were ready, a TB Vets funded ventilator kept him alive. Your generous donations help patients like baby Verk beat the odds every day. TB Vets Charitable Foundation, now celebrating the 75th year of the original CHEK program. Help us arm British Columbia's frontline medical heroes.
One Stop Furniture and Mattress is having their awesome anniversary sale. Save on furniture for every room in your home. Help out the Victoria Humane and Hospice Societies while you buy, save, and give.
One Stop Furniture and Mattress, where you're number one.
It's sweater weather at West Coast Appliance Gallery. Warm up with instant rebates of up to $2,300 on Bosch kitchen and laundry appliances, plus up to $500 kitchen package rebates. West Coast Appliance Gallery, Victoria's certified Bosch service repair dealer.
Here are your hearing aids. And you also get me. I'm here with you every step of the way.
Really?
Yeah, that's what makes Beltone different.
Wow. Wouldn't it be great if everything came with a partner included?
10 years, bumper to bumper, and I think that's it. You're all set. Who are they? They're the pit crew that comes with the new car. Don't worry, they're here to help.
Nice.
It really would be great if everything included the perfect partner.
Island Beltone locations are here for you. Call today for your free hearing screening. You can scan the globe or save time and come to Demex and find fabulous for less. For cabinets and counters, Demex oozes quality. For starters, just look at the high-end plywood box cabinets and solid wood doors. Did you catch the dovetail drawers with undermount hardware and exclusive butcher block and island counters? Plus, it's affordable and available for 7 to 14-day turnarounds. Save time and money. Visit Demex in Coombs on the Alberta Highway and find fabulous for less.
So does anyone else feel like a kid whose parents just got divorced and are vying for Junior's affections? That is, we're awash in election promises, each of the parties trying to pull us in with shiny new toys. Right out of the gate, the Liberals promised to get rid of the PST for a year. That's a $7 billion bauble. Then the NDP said, yeah, we'll give you $1,000 for COVID relief, stick it right in your wallet. The Greens, they promised rent subsidies, $1 billion for green business innovation, and said they'd look at a 4-day work week. So the NDP brought back their idea for $10 a day daycare. The Greens said, we'll give you free daycare for kids under 3. Hold on, the Liberals said, we'll take your kid to the zoo. Well, no, but they did bring in their own version of cheap daycare. Liberals also said they'd spend $1 billion to build care homes, spend billions more for a bridge to replace the Massey Tunnel, and in fact spend $8 billion for schools, hospitals, transit, and roads. So the NDP said they'd spend $1.4 billion for care homes, plus give you an ICBC rebate, a renter's rebate, free transit for kids under 12 and free prescription contraception, though not for the kids under 12. Okay, Andrew Wilkinson said, we'll give you free flu shots. So John Horgan said, we'll give you free COVID vaccines. Then Wilkinson said, yeah, we'll give you COVID vaccines too. And then Oprah said, you get a vaccine and you get a vaccine and you get a vaccine, which really ticked me off because I've been selling bottles of bleach for $50 a pop, just like Donald said. These people do remember we're in a pandemic, right? The house is on fire and they're talking about painting the garage. BC's already looking at a $12.5 billion deficit this year. Where's the promise for how we're going to deal with that? It's nice that you're offering to buy us a pony, Mom and Dad, but who's supposed to pay for all this? The guys in the tents in Beacon Hill Park?
Thank you, Jack Knox. That is another edition of BC Poly Live. We want to thank you for watching. We want to thank the Vancouver Sun. We want to thank the Times Colonist. Both organizations streaming tonight's show on their online platforms. Of course, thanks to Amy and Rob. We will be back at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. Did I say 6? 8 p.m. We'll have a newscast at 6 p.m. on Tuesday the 20th. Then we'll be back at 8 p.m. for one more episode of BC Poly Live before the election on the 24th. The leaders are taking questions tonight following the debate you just watched. If you want to hear from them, how they thought they did tonight, we will have that for you on CHEK News at 10 with Andy Neal. Thank you for being here and have a good night.